Welcome to another edition of Interruption. My next guest has songs like Maker of Love, Woman, Customer, You, and his new singer, Mr. Midnight. If you don't know who I'm talking about the smooth brother, Raheem Devaughn. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. Thanks for having me on the show.
I appreciate it, man. We don't take it lightly. Thank you for blessing us with your presence. My first question for you today is, what made you choose music as a career?
Um, that was something that I love to do. So
Okay,
I just remember people saying career day, in high school, and throughout life, you know, do something, that you in life you want to have a job, something that you enjoy doing, monetize something that you
right.
enjoy doing, that you're passionate about. That way it will be forever, a pleasantry. You know what I mean? So I took their advice.
That's good. That's good. And the reason I asked that question just to give you some context, because as you know, a lot of people have a skill set or are even gifted in something, but they don't pursue it. So the fact that you went on and pursued it and made a great career out of it, your classic song "Customer," man, that was my joint. That's my joint. W-
Absolutely. Thank
Um, what makes the Raheem Devon sound? What is that? What is that? What is it? What's the ingredients that make it? When you hear your voice, right, and you hear your music, to say, "Oh yeah, man, that's classic Raheem right there."
I think I just have a distinct. I think it's the. I think I've been told I have a distinct voice, but it's me when you hear me singing. I think that you can pretty much tell when I've written a song too, for the most part, and maybe
Mm,
not always. I mean, because there's songs that I haven't written, but I
Uh,
still deliver in mind.
right.
You know what I mean? So there's just this thing I do. In terms of the vocal arrangements and and the way that down to even how it's mixed and mastered. You know what I mean? Because I use one
Right.
person
Okay.
typically to do my, to touch my body at work. Typically.
Oh, okay, that's great. That's rare to hear, some artists say, "I use the same guy, to mix and put my stuff down." So, because he knows the sound, he knows my sound.
Yeah.
So even though the track or whatever is not the same, as a previous track, which you don't want anyway, but he mixes it to a way, like you said, it's got that classic, Raheem touch to it. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. You're the first person I interviewed musically that said that.
I mean, I kind of like I'm a student of music, so I remember like um, the rise of the bad boy era for say for Puff. It's a good example. When he had
Mhm.
the hit and he was doing multiple projects and whatever.
Right.
And whenever I go to read the credits though, um, it would say mix and master by Tony Maserati.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I was like, and I was like, well, who's Tony Maserati? And I would always see, so then when I did the research on it, I actually understood the lingo then. So I know what it meant to mix a record and to master it. I understood what the process was, and I know and they he used the same person pretty much every time.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And he used that person for a specific reason, and that person was part of their sound. You know what I mean? Like he was part of the bad boy sound.
Well.
Um, and when people wanted that sound, they
Mhm.
would go to Tony to do stuff outside of the Bad Boy brand. You know what I mean? And because in hopes that they would get that sound. I'm sure.
Right.
Um, people hit up my guy all the time now. Like it's been hard to get in there as of late. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, because of COVID.
well, not just because of COVID, people connecting the dots. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like
Okay.
yeah, the COVID. The COVID is not stopping. The business of music from happening and
Right.
projects created. What I'm saying? I think, my project is a testament to that.
Let me ask you a question. Because and that's why we named the show Interruption. We like to, interrupt that regular thought process of what people think is real, not real. Whatever the topic is. So, a lot of times you know what a songwriter is. Of course, a singer. You know what a producer is, an arranger. But what does the person like a Tony Maserati? mixing and engineering the work, what is that exactly
They
when
prepare
you see that?
mixing and mastering is the last process you go through when you're preparing a record for distribution to be whether it's going to vinyl, whether it's going to CD,
Hmm.
take that 8 track, back in the day, you know what I mean, digital
Right.
down. It's the last process, mixing it, balancing it out, making sure, the highs, the mids, and the lows, the
Okay.
range, the frequency are correct and appropriate. And
Okay.
just, whatever little cherries on top and nuances that you may want, on the record, echoes here, quarters, delays here,
Gotcha.
a little reverb there, panning to the left, panning vocal to the right.
Okay.
Just like turn the strings up a little more. It's just like
Gotcha.
it's a very tedious thing. You know what I mean? And I for me, I'm very anal, so I sit in on my mixes. Like, oh,
Okay.
what I mean? See it like through because it's a specific. I do have a sound. It's a specific thing I wanted to feel like.
Right.
Um, sit and then there's the mastering. There's the mastering process to make sure that um, everything is seamless. From beginning to end. So
Okay.
if you listen to my new album with the interludes, one song flows into
Okay.
the next. It's making sure that it fades for me at the right moment, and the right song comes on right after it. To just
Gotcha.
create what I'm saying? Like I'm into creating a vibe um, for the listener, so that you don't have to get up. If you're in the middle of an intimate moment with your lady, like
Right.
you don't have to get up to go and make an adjustment. You know what I mean?
Right. I gotcha.
Yeah, or if I know that the project is leading up to what could potentially be a night of intimacy, it's
Hmm.
like in certain records up top, you know what I mean, the up tempo stuff up top, and that's just for being a student of it, listening to projects like the first Boys and Men album, or
Yeah.
you know a classic Jodeci album. If you remember,
Yeah.
be a point where the records would go, the slow songs would be back to back to back to back.
Yep.
And that was for a reason.
Right. That because that way you didn't have to one you had to skip around, or you could say,
Hey,
okay, I got a flow of songs that I'm with my lady. I can just let all these songs flow.
you got the Magnum Gold packs right there on the dresser. And
Yeah.
the, you
It's
chamomile,
funny.
chamomile tea, and
Uh,
incense, whatever your vibe is. You got your cigarettes, you got your cannabis sativa, whatever it is you
yeah,
need.
whatever
You
your
got it right.
thing is, right.
And you got me pumping through the speaker. And your most intimate moment. Your most vulnerable moment. You know what I mean?
So you making babies without even being there.
Yeah. It's a real cool thing, man. It's cool to know that um, yeah, like I get played. I never get tired of saying it. I get played during during someone's most intimate and
Right.
vulnerable moments. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And memorable, hopefully.
Yeah.
Weddings, different things of that nature. So
I would.
absolutely,
You led right into my next question, which is, it seems like in your music, right? Especially in some of your music, that you're kind of dating the female audience in some of your the lyrics, because they're wonderfully written and crafted, like you said, even the ones that you didn't write, that you sung. Do you feel like when you're going into the studio and you're singing the song, that you kind of, it's like you're, for us the fellas, right, it's like you're talking to the females for us, so kind of old school style, where we don't even have to say nothing.
absolutely. It's exactly what I'm doing. Absolutely, absolutely. I've got enough high fives in the streets and the merch lines for COVID to understand that that's definitely what's going on. So I pride myself in doing that as well. Tastefully. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to have a record for the fellas that represents. I don't represent the fellas that call women out of their name.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
You know what I'm saying? My thing is very classy, and it's upper echelon in R&B and soul music.
Yeah, you do it very tasteful. Where it's I had this conversation with Gerald Austin last night from the Manhattans, and we was
Uh,
talking about one of the things we felt like that was missing, from R&B, and you're one of the few artists that still do it, is to actually romance the females when you singing the song. You remember back in the day, some of the
yeah,
stuff that's been said today, they said it too, but it was in a romantic way. You kind of skipped over that.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you know, and and for some, in a lot of cases, I benefit from it, and then in other cases, somebody said I suffer because that's the new norm right now. You know what I mean? So but I stick to my guns,
Please
and
do.
thankful that it's been received the way it is.
No,
You know?
please do, man. You're doing a great job. Um, tell me about your foundation.
The Love Life Foundation, we've been in existence for a few years now. Um, a few of our major initiatives are fighting domestic violence,
Okay,
sex trafficking, and exploitation of children, um, as well as providing textbook scholarship. Uh,
okay,
fund. It's a textbook scholarship that we offer to students,
okay,
graduate students in my area, um, that are to go off to school and need that extra hand, for books and supplies. Um, we do a series of food banks and feeding the homeless, that we've done over the years. Of
okay,
course, part of an annual turkey drive here locally. There'll
okay.
be toys for tots. People be calling for that type of thing. We
Sure.
do the Christmas holidays and Kwanzaa. Um, those are the major initiatives, right now with the foundation.
Well, I make sure when I air this that I will uh, put the website on there so people
Yeah,
can go and look at the foundation and see the great work that you're doing. So that's why I wanted to ask about it, to make sure people know that you are, giving back, and you're giving back in many directions, in many different ways
yeah,
versus just, and there's nothing wrong with it. Some people have a
yeah.
foundation and it focuses on one thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. But brother, I like the fact that your foundation is meeting needs in a lot of different areas, and that's, I salute to you, man. That's real big.
Thank thank you. Appreciate it.
How did the song "Customer" come about? I know when I ask how did it come about, what I mean is man, that was some slick writing that you put on that thing.
Yeah,
And tell me, what was that process like?
that was a record I co-wrote on. I can't take all the responsibility for that
Yeah,
one.
with Carl Thomas.
No, that was actually no, that was I would call Thomas. That song was actually written with
Uh,
Carvin and Ivan, Karma, music.
okay, come. Okay,
Yeah. So Carvin and Ivan,
mm,
they're like, new millennial gambling huffs of our, you
okay,
know, or work with everybody. It did like all the music, soul child stuff.
wow,
Um, and Lewis, they worked with Jill, you know,
okay,
out of that original DJ Jazzy Jeff camp. You know what I'm
okay,
saying? But
okay.
I mean, anything out of Philly, they've had a hand in it. I mean, and as well as um, Mary J. Blige and just a lot of
Oh
different
wow, they killing it.
Jaheim, and yeah, and big shout out to Typewriter, who actually pen game is super crazy as well. Um, my sis out of Philly, Typewriter, she's crazy with it. That record. In fact, the only part I wrote on that record, I wrote the bridge on that record.
Okay,
When I heard the demo, there was no bridge on it. It was
okay.
actually referenced by Typewriter. It was a female record. It was a song for a female.
Oh
It's
wow,
kind of. I feel like it had a unisex
sure.
vibe to it. You know what I mean? So it was very unisex, like you know what I mean. But female had referenced the record, and I fell in love with it. I mean, I was like, they didn't know, but I said let me cut that one,
Okay,
and
let me get that.
you need to let me do a male version of that in case I want to chop it to a male singer. And but by the time it was over, I said, nah, this I'm keeping this one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hey man, you know what's so funny, man? I discovered you. I don't want to say when I say mistakenly, it was funny. It was like, so I was watching, the old video channel, right?
Yeah,
And so they were talking. I can't even remember who the artist was, but it was saying next, and I think they had a nice single or whatever was going on. So I
yeah,
was like, all right, I'm gonna get ready to watch this. So then you come on first,
yeah,
and I was like, oh, okay. And like you said, I like the hook, but then I started listening to the words more and more, and I was like, oh man, who is this cat? He just killed it. And what was funny, my sister. Now me and my
yeah,
sister are 12 years apart. So I tell my sister, I said, hey, have you heard this song, Customer, by this cat, Raheem Devar? She's like, boy, that's old. I was like, what? She was
yeah,
on it like 2, 3 months before I even heard.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
That was a
so
good time. Oh 08, oh 09,
yeah,
2000, 2011. Yeah.
it was. So I appreciate that, man. What what inspired you to write the woman?
Um, that record, I I was challenged by A&R at the time, who told me like, "Hey man, your album isn't done. You know, where's your anthem for the women?" Da da da. It's a
Mm,
conversation that happened, and
sure.
based on that, now I left the meeting, needless to say, charged up,
Okay.
and went and made that record. And had that conversation not happened, that it probably wouldn't exist. You know what I mean? So I'm glad I was in a place of humility and being able to be humble and
Right.
know that you can always be better and dig deeper and be more creative. And that was the end result of that. That's where that record came from.
Beautiful record, man. Beautiful, beautiful record. And even though, let me ask you this: your thoughts on that record? Even
Mm-hmm.
though it's a a classic Raheem song, right? It seemed like vocally it was a little bit different, far as style that you had
Mm-hmm.
done before. Because at first I'm like, they was like, yeah, Raheem. I said, Raheem Devon did that one, and it kind of it threw me, not because of the lyrics. It's just it at that time it didn't sound like you a little bit, so I didn't
Yeah,
even know it was you.
yeah. I mean, I got many styles, but it's always being there. I think I was becoming a better songwriter and a better vocal arranger
Okay,
at that stage in my career. You know what I mean? So
right.
I was able to experiment and try different things, and still just even now I still discover different things about my voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That
you evolving because I didn't know. Once again, another classic of yours. You. I didn't know. I did not know. I didn't know that was you either.
first, yeah, that's from the first album. Yeah, that's from the first
Yeah,
album.
and so I appreciate the from song to song, the album to album, like you said, the evolution um of your vocals, your style. Now the one you just you putting out, Mr. Right, now that's classic Raheem. I
Mr.
like that.
Midnight, Mr.
Mr.
Midnight.
Midnight, I mean, yeah, Mr. Midnight. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's your
I,
classic spin.
by the way, I do have a song called Mr. Right on one of my previous albums. Yeah, so yeah, that's funny. You said that. That was produced by Carvin and Ivan and
Okay,
co-written by
okay,
me and Writer as well. Um, yeah, Mr. Midnight, that's the vibe I'm on. Um, I think that I was the first R&B soul singer to make mixtapes. So I think that a good friend of mine, a buddy friend of mine, he always told me,
okay.
he said, man, when you do the records moving forward, you should try like approach it how you would do your mixtapes, because
Hmm.
my mixtapes has always had a little more edge to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so that's how I've been approaching the last few albums. I think this album, "What a Time to Be Alive," is a display of me and my artistry as a master of my craft. Like, I'm
Okay.
finally master at what I do. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
I can I can go in and make it do what it do. And say what I want to say and talk my talk. At the end of the day, that like, okay, potentially this is something that somebody's gonna want to hear like over and over and over and over
Yeah.
again. My interpolation of it, like a hit, a hit record.
Well, that was like I said, that song now. That's that. Like I said, that's classic. That's classic. You. My next question. I got two more questions for you.
Hmm.
My next question is, man, how do you keep your sanity in this music game, man, in this music industry from the time you came in to where you are now? And you know, so
Hmm.
much is going. And the reason I asked this question, give you some context, is just that you know you have the fans pulling on you know expectations from the labels of how
Yeah,
your album's going to do, and then what you want to put out as an artist, you know, and then your family, you know, family time. How do you keep your sanity?
I went insane long ago. So once I did that, I became free. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so I didn't feel like I don't feel the pressure of expectation. I know how to
Okay.
tell people. I know how to tell people no. I
Okay.
know how to make time for myself.
Okay.
You know, and most importantly, know how to deliver to keep my brand alive and keep my name ringing in the street, and to be consistent and competitive with what's going on
Sure.
um, at all times musically and sonically.
Okay. That's good. That's good. And my last question for you: who is Raheem Devar?
Oh man, I'm a humanitarian. I'm a father. Um, I'm a light bearer. I'm a God. Most high God fearing individual. I'm a student of the culture. I'm soul. I'm R&B. I'm neo soul R&B rock star. I'm a combination of a lot of different things. Currently, the love king of R&B, always keeping it soul.
Well, I appreciate you keeping it soulful, man. You giving us good music to listen
And
to. But
days I'm an actor, so there's a
so,
movie coming out that yeah, it's a movie that I'm coming out in. It's called Available Wife.
okay.
I believe it comes out in a few weeks.
Okay.
Maybe going straight to Netflix. I'm not sure, but
Okay.
of course, those that follow me on social media and set their notifications, they'll get word of what I'm doing. There's also a record, to say a record. There's also a film out called Love.com that I'm in as well. That's out on Netflix.
Okay. Well, all right, man. Go ahead. You conquered it all. Go ahead and get in the film industry. And
Yeah, try.
so I'm gonna follow you on Instagram. So what I when I I'm gonna send a trailer out to you of
Okay,
this here, and I'll send it to your Insta because I put all my trailers on Instagram, so it's much
okay.
much easier to load up. So I make sure that I'll be following you, and I love to have you back on the show, man. After you, has everything dropped yet, or is just a single is out?
Yeah, out. That's the other thing. The album came out last Friday. It's
Okay,
called What a Time to Be in Love. It's
what a
available
time.
on all platforms. You're gonna love it, man. You gotta get into it. Take a listen tonight. When we jump off. Again, it's called What a Time to Be in Love. Is on all digital platforms. Can't wait to hear your feedback on it.
Okay, I most definitely, man. I'll follow you. And once again, man, thank you for blessing us with your presence. Make
Yeah,
sure, man, I know you're traveling and having to do certain things. So make
yeah,
sure you stay safe and
yeah.
stay
Thank you.
blessed, man. And we love what you do.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Blessings to you.
Peace.
Peace. Peace.